Hello, welcome back to Over the Line Football, and today we're going to have a long-awaited debate about what is going on at Manchester United at the moment. We're going to start by kind of giving, I'd say, initial reactions to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's sacking. It's been about a week now. Our reactions to Ralf Rangnick being the interim boss until the end of the season, or about to be the interim boss if they can get a work permit. And then who do we think should be in line to take over as the permanent manager in the summer? Right, we will start with Ole, as they like to say. Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to ask what your opinions are, first of all, on the video, the interview. Because that caused a lot of controversy, because a lot of United fans were like, yeah, sound, look, it's giving him a chance to speak to the fans, address the situation. But looking at it from a club's perspective, did you just think that that was a way, again, of United getting positive PR with the fans at a time when they're in an absolute mess?
I agree with what your second part of your statement is. I think when Lampard obviously got sacked at Chelsea, he's a club legend there. He didn't do this interview at the end, did he?
No.
Obviously we know Ole's a legend of Man United as well. For me, it obviously looked like that Ole was going to go out no matter what, and so they might have had that interview planned for a while. Or Ole might have said, "Can I do this interview?" Rather, perhaps we don't really know. It is very weird sacking a manager and having an interview at the end of it. You normally just sack a manager, then go home, don't you, and just don't speak about it ever again, really. So it just didn't sit right with me personally. Obviously, I know, like we said already, he's Man United legend, and say Louis van Gaal did this or David Moyes, I'll still question it then, even if it was Ole. So yes, go on. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say on that point. I had this conversation with one of our friends recently. If you were a proper Man United fan, and especially if you were around at the time where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was playing, even not really, to be honest, his time as management will not have affected your memory of him as a player.
No.
Just because he was a rubbish manager, let's face it, he was. It doesn't erase the fact that he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final to hand you, was it the treble that season? 99 won it, yeah, so it was the treble. That doesn't... That's not null and void, you know what I mean? That's still there.
Yeah.
So, look, the people that were abusing him were just stupid anyway, weren't they? Let's be completely honest. And I just think that there was no need to do it, because United fans' memory of him was not scarred by what he'd done as the manager, if you understand what I mean.
Right.
And for me, personally, it just felt like the club used it as a way of getting positive PR, filming him crying on camera and stuff like that. Look, he's obviously very emotional. He's just lost his job. He obviously properly believed in himself that he was going to be the manager that delivered United back to the successful ways. And on what you just said about them having it planned in advance, I think how rubbish the search for the interim manager and how long it's taken and how sort of rushed it has been probably suggested that they haven't been looking at this for a while, because if they were going to look at this for a while, the results against Manchester City and Liverpool would have had Ole out of a job before the international break, and then they've got 2 weeks to look at this interim manager and get him in charge. The fact that they've had to wait for an embarrassing defeat against Watford to sack him was just poor planning from day one. It was quite obvious to even the most diehard United fans that it wasn't working out with Solskjaer.
I felt the Spurs game. To be fair, whoever lost that Spurs Man United game was going to get sacked. And so, obviously, Spurs
how bad was
the game.
Spurs, by the way?
I know. So, I think if Man United lost that game, Conte would have come to Man United instead. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, it might not happen. That's what I would have reckoned. I reckon Ole would have got sacked after the Spurs game, and then Conte would have come in Man United rather than the Spurs. That's what I would have thought would happen. And what you've said it is weird. I don't think I'm ever going to see it happen again. I don't think we will. But
what, as in
I don't think we'll ever see a manager again have an interview after being sacked.
Right. Okay.
Because it's like you said, you just lost his job. He's going to be emotional. What do you expect him to do? Just start smiling at the camera all the time? I've just lost my job, and just beaming smile.
And he further embarrasses himself because he talks about stuff like every team that I've left has gone on to win the title the year after. Basically admitting that you're a very poor manager. It's not fair. And you know what he does? Like, you know, I'm a Manchester City fan, and he does seem like a genuinely nice guy. And look, he must be a nice guy for, you know, everyone in the media that were his teammates not calling for his sacking. And look, you can say whatever you like about what's been said by like Gary Neville, etc. They have called for managers to be sacked in the past. Maybe they've not gone, I want him to be sacked, but they have suggested
hinted, like,
other options. They've said they're not playing for him, etc., etc. So it's quite obvious that he's a nice guy. It was a poor strategical decision from United, but is appointing Ralf Rangnick. Is that how you say his name? Ralf Rangnick? Is that right? Rangnick?
We'll go along with it if you want.
Ralf Rangnick.
Big Ralf.
That's
Say
what
Ralph.
it's called. Ralph.
Ralph's in. Ralph in.
Ralph. Is that probably the most sensible appointment Man United have made since Ferguson's left, or is that remains to be seen?
I've seen an argument recently on Talksport. I don't like to mention Talksport, but on Talksport, on the Man United fan came on, which was basically talking about how Man United now kind of need like a short-term manager, have a long-term manager, because say the results don't go away in Man United, you just get one out straight away rather than a long-term, sign a 4-year deal, and say the results don't go right in the first 6 months, he's gone and lose all that money. If you have a short-term boss in, and the results don't go well, you can get rid of him in the season, it'd be no problem kind of thing. Ralf Rangnick, for me, obviously, I'm not 100% clued up on what Ralf Rangnick's done as a manager, but I've seen everywhere that he's influenced all these other fellow German managers like Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, Ralph Hasenhüttl, just something to name off the tongue anyway. So, them from Klopp, like kind of talking about how he's like kind of not worried, but kind of like a bit hit or miss of him coming to the Premier League because he doesn't want to really go against him kind of thing. He is Man United. Does make you think that he brings a bit of fear, perhaps, to other teams. Obviously, I think some teams in the Premier League weren't too bothered about being Ole's manager. They thought, if maybe tactically we can get one over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, perhaps that might not be the case with Rangnick. And so, obviously, we know he's like the gegenpressing king, owner, that kind of thing we've heard already, haven't we? So, for him to possibly install into this Man United team, which have the lowest sprints per game and the lowest pressing percentages in the Premier League, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's pressing or attempted pressing compares to Ralf Rangnick and see if there's any more differences. So I'm interested to see how he's going to do. But for me, I do feel like a short-term boss is needed. Whether it's him or not, that's fair enough. But I think a short-term boss is needed to end the season where they can go from there and kind of regroup, because the season now, they're already quite a distance behind the top two already for me. So
top three?
Top three now, yeah. So I don't think they'll win the league. It'd just be making sure they submit that top four and going from there, for me. So
yeah, well, obviously, if you didn't know, the role that Ragnar has is that after he's finished his 6 months, he goes into a consultancy position, is what they've advertised it as. Okay. Which I assume is sort of a director of football type thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ed Woodward is supposed to have left at the end of this year. There were rumours that he was staying to help appoint the new manager. I don't know how true that actually was.
I thought he left ages ago.
They announced he was leaving. It was just after the Super League, wasn't it?
So they're trying to make this PR thing, weren't they? Just saying Edward was leaving. Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah. Because can you believe this? The Super League was the start of this year. It's crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah. So basically, his role is going to be sort of a director of football, and obviously he's been praised in the past for his decision making in clubs, and after he had a brief spell in management, he took the opportunity to be further up in clubs and be involved in the sort of decision making, and of course that saw him pick out a lot of talent for Red Bull Salzburg. Sadio Mane and Erling Haaland are the two that I can think off the top of my head, but there is a very, very good list. Naby Keita. There's a very big list of players basically that he helped sign for specific clubs that have gone on to be very good players.
Quite a lot of Spurs players, not a lot of Liverpool players. Sorry,
yeah. So it's a very sensible appointment. I've seen the same Talksport thing you're on about, and although I understand what he means, it's a very sensible appointment because at least it's not it probably remains to be seen, but if he does well, I can't see him being appointed as the permanent boss.
No.
It looks like he's not interested in that. He's interested in stabilising.
I think United now a bit more scarred from Ole. They're doing a short-term deal and bringing a manager in and obviously getting no success. So perhaps they don't want to.
I don't think he wants that.
Right.
I don't think Rangnick wants that. I think he wants to be a consultant higher up in the club. He doesn't manage it. He probably likes managing, but probably not as much as what he's doing at the moment because he's in previous years he has been a sort of consultant at other clubs. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does. And especially on the pitch, you've seen all these sort of football TED Talks, I don't know what to call them, coaches' voices about him, like how he likes to press, and I think we could have a discussion for 24 hours about the players in Man United's team and if they'll press, because
I know
there's very few people that I think will. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I think it's a good decision for him to go upstairs with this sort of previous experience.
Yeah.
And he assume will have a say in who is going to be the permanent boss. First of all, candidates, you'd say Mauricio Pochettino.
Yep.
Big one. Zinedine Zidane.
Ten Hag.
Yep. That's the main three, I think. Saw Roberto Mancini yesterday, but we're not going to talk about that because I'd absolutely bring my heart. Let's say them three.
Okay.
Because I think it is good. But I think the favourite obviously is Poch.
Yep.
I'd say then Ten Hag, then Zidane.
I mean, Ten Hag's already admitted in saying, obviously he wants to stay at Ajax at the end of the season.
Which fits in with United's plan.
Which is obviously, which kind of means he's open to possibly leaving at the end of the season. Richard Pochettino, I've seen places that he's offered his services to Man United when he hasn't.
He's desperate to get out though, isn't he? I think with Poch, I mean, I don't think he knew what he got himself in for at Paris.
No.
It's just a collection of players that will not work hard for the rest of the team. They're defending with 7 men because 3 players. Of course they'll score you goals. They've got quality, they'll score you goals. But in the games when you're right up against it, against the top teams in Europe, I think he'd be better playing with 3 players that actually came back and helped defending. Honestly, I would. That's not to say he comes into United and that's exactly the same, because that was obviously the criticism.
Well, we saw what he did at Spurs. You saw what he did to the Spurs side. Obviously, that Spurs side, they got very close to win the Premier League, which Man United haven't done for a couple of seasons now. So, and for me, that's Man United squad they currently have now is better than that Spurs squad Poch had at the time. And also, he got to a Champions League final with Spurs as well. Nothing done before either in Champions League for him. So, he has a way of getting players playing the best football, like Dele Alli, for example. Now I haven't seen Dele Alli play any good football since Poch left for me. You got Heung-min Son and Harry Kane to what they are today for me personally. He can make players perform at their best, and so he could perhaps get the best out of Ronaldo. We don't know. We have to see what Big Ralph will do instead to Ronaldo. Obviously, like we said, Ronaldo he's already got the most goals for Man United this season already, so it's kind of... There's obviously conversation if Man United didn't sign Ronaldo, where might United be in general? Could Ole still be there, not focusing on Ronaldo, that kind of thing? But for me, I see Poch maybe not getting the job. I think Erik ten Hag will get the job for me personally. Or it wouldn't surprise if another German manager gets the job, with obviously Big Ralph coming in and being probably the man at the top. You could see maybe another German manager that might not be one of the top ones, possibly getting the Man United job perhaps. I don't know any other German managers. Obviously Nagelsmann's just come in at Bayern Munich. Maybe whack him low at Man United. That'd be quite funny, wouldn't it? So
no, I'm completely in the camp that Mauricio Pochettino gets the job. I think he is. I think for what he's desperate to leave PSG, he'd be coming back to a league that's familiar to him. That, as you said, he's performed. Apart from, I use the word, he's a serial loser. He is a serial loser.
Final loser.
No, just serial loser in general.
Okay,
I mean, that was the best opportunity for Spurs to win a league title. I don't think you understand how much they completely bottled that against Leicester in that title race. It was bad. You can't, like you said, for what he had at Spurs, you can't argue he did a fantastic job, and he was sacked far too prematurely. The first bad run they've been on, he weren't given any opportunity.
It's like Spurs are now. Obviously, Nuno won Manager of the month before, and the month later he was sacked. You know what I mean? So,
or we can have another conversation about Spurs and their decision making, but yeah, I think it'd be the most sensible appointment for Man United to make. He's a Prem proven manager at a time when United just need some stability. They've got a good core group of players, but with no real identity of how they want to play. As we speak about the other day, they've got a mixture of players that are just individuals, sort of like PSG. But if Poch is in a more familiar league, he knows what England's about, he's had success here before, or somewhat success, I think it'd be the most sensible appointment for United to make, rather than taking a chance on a Zidane or a Ten Hag, because that would be taking a chance. I think a Ten Hag or a Zidane are maybe jobs for post Jurgen Klopp or post Pep Guardiola, when you've got I'd say near impossible task of replacing one of them two managers, like David Moyes had with Man United. I just think there's no chance United are going to gamble again. They're going to go for proven, and I think Poch is the most proven of the managers that will become available. Maybe not. Maybe PSG turn it around and end up winning the Champions League.
Don't you? Like you said, he says he's a serial loser. Why would you get someone who's, like I said, a serial loser? Can't you? So.
Proven in the Premier League, maybe not winning stuff.
Well, that's why I
as
said
yet.
perfect. Conte would have been perfect.
Again,
that's why I said Conte would have been perfect at the time,
they've tried the winning thing with Mourinho and it just didn't work. So I just think they've tried the inexperience, the club thing with Ole. They've tried a serial winner.
Do you reckon Roy Keane fancies it to him this season?
Well, yeah. They tried a serial winner with Mourinho. They tried a style of play with Van Gaal. Now they just need some sort of stability and some sort of... I don't know what the word is. I really don't know what the word is. But I think that Rangnick onto Pochettino, for me personally, would be the most sensible appointment Man United can make.
Okay, I don't have anything else to say on that really.
There's probably another video in this towards the end of the season when we've seen what Rangnick's done. Yeah, and we can analyse it then. Look, he could have won the Champions League by then, and we're talking about him becoming actually permanent boss. But it's all if buts, maybes. So we will wait and see, and we will possibly revisit this another time. In fact, we probably will when they appoint a permanent manager, or if they do. So.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, before we go, thank you for 200 subscribers. A small but important milestone for us.
Yep.
We're trying to vary the content on the channel at the moment. If you've not, go and check out Jamie's vlog that he did at England. That was brilliant. And we've got other stuff in the pipeline. The problem is that it's winter and it is absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
So as usual, just keep a lookout on the social channels, and anything that we announce will be on there. And until next time, guys, we will see you later.